Have you ever heard about those students at schools that tend to be overly competitive and like to pick competition in everything that they do? Well, I'm one of those students. My name is Candace. I know you're probably thinking the worst things about me now, but you know what? It's fine. I'm used to it. People talking behind my back, not having any friends that I can rely on. Not that I really have the need to. And basically just being treated as an outcast. These things don't really matter to me, as I know I'm no good either. But what matters is that I always stay on top of my academics. But my goal to be on top was long shattered by Mark, our school's newest transferee. It was just a normal day at school. And by normal, I mean really boring, as my level of intellect was way too good for the basic lessons they handed out every time. We took a test after the repetitive discussions, and as expected, I got an A. I was the only one to have that mark among the 40 students in our class. Talk about being the best, huh? Shortly after that, our homeroom teacher announced that we were going to have a new classmate by the start of next term. I could not really care less about that. I was confident in myself that it was just another average student, so I did not really worry about losing my reputation of being the most honorable student. The next day of our term finally came, and so did the new guy. As he entered the room, he immediately caught everyone's attention. The girls could not even stop looking at him. I feel like I just found my soulmate. Him? Your soulmate? Can't you see that I'm the one he's checking out? It's absurd how much attention people can get just because they look good. Anyway, he was instructed by our teacher to sit right in front of me. That really caught me off guard, because upon closer look, I realized that the girls weren't lying at all when they talked about how he looked fine. I must say, he definitely had the looks that could launch 1,000 ships. Since that day, every girl in our class seemed to be more hostile to me than ever. It was obvious that they were jealous of me for being able to sit just right behind the new guy. Oh, looks like Miss Know-It-All also knows how to steal my soulmate. I just shrugged off everyone's antagonism of me and continued with my aim to top the class, because that was literally what only mattered to me. Not any guy or soulmate they were accusing me of stealing. Many days passed until it was finally time for our midterm examinations. Naturally, I had trust in myself that I would ace each one of it. I mean, there was never a single day before that when I did not study, which is also why I was expecting to get a score not less than a perfect one. Everything went out smoothly until I saw the final question. It was an essay question about a topic that I never encountered on our modules, nor on the past lectures that we had. I was crapping myself off that time since the question was worth 10 points, and there was no way I could have guessed an answer without looking like someone who tried to talk about something she clearly did not know about. Clearly, I was bound to get the question wrong. The teacher then collected our papers and said that we would immediately get our scores tomorrow. I spent the rest of the day overthinking about how I did. I did calm myself a bit by thinking that if I, the smartest student in class, did not manage to ace the exam, then who would? The question was too hard for me. There was no way anyone else could have answered it correctly. The next day, our results came in. I was expecting to be called for the highest score, even though I knew my score would not be perfect this time. To my surprise, someone actually got a perfect score. And it was Mark. I could not hide how bitter I was of that. For the first time ever, someone actually managed to be a better student than me. And it did not end on that examination. Weeks have passed, and each time we would get an activity, it was Mark who would always be applauded. He was expected to have a near perfect grade. Me? I just came in second every time. One time, when I was eating at the cafeteria, Mark suddenly approached me. He told me how he'd noticed how sullen I'd been in the past weeks, and that he'd heard everyone talking about how I'd finally been dethroned of being the best. I know how it feels to have everyone's eyes on you, and how exhausting it is to try and meet everyone's expectations. It's my fault for feeling this way. I let other people take control of my life. It was actually the first time that the two of us interacted that much. He was actually a nice guy, in and out. I'm sorry if I treated you as my competitor. I was too blind to see anyone beyond a rival. Soon enough, I finally found myself having someone who I could call a friend. I was so focused on being the best that I was already forgetting what it really means to be a person. I didn't even have any companions until Mark came. He opened up my soft side, made me realize that life is not simply just about what happens inside a classroom. There's a world outside waiting for me, with people like him who are willing to be on my side. It is almost time for our graduation, and it amazes me how much of a roller coaster ride this year was. If I'm gonna be honest, I see Mark more than a friend. My old self would probably be ashamed that I even feel this way. But allowing myself to be vulnerable is one thing that I have also learned recently. That's why I plan to confess these feelings to Mark on the day of our graduation.